1 minute smarter, every market clearer. Welcome to my channel, I'm Claire. Hello everyone, and welcome to today's deep dive. If 2023 and 2024 were the genesis of artificial intelligence, we are now standing on the eve of a massive turning point. Over the past 2 years, the logic of the capital markets has been blunt and straightforward. Whoever can build the strongest chips and rent out the most computing power is the undisputed king. Consequently, we have witnessed NVIDIA's ascent to godhood and Microsoft's market value skyrocket. Let's take a closer look at the hidden concerns behind this logic. As the dust from this computing power arms race begins to settle, thousands of enterprises are starting to entrust their most core business secrets, sensitive financial data, and private user behaviors to AI models running in the cloud. At this moment, the world's vulnerability has actually reached its peak. This is exactly what I find so fascinating. Dan Ives, a veteran tech observer and analyst on Wall Street, recently put forward a shocking perspective. He believes that 2026 will no longer be a simple AI year, but will become the breakout year for the deep integration of artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. In Ives' logic, if you only focus on AI itself, you might only be seeing the tip of the iceberg. Interestingly, data shows that we are in the midst of a physical-level digital migration. In the computing world, there is a core concept called workload. To put it simply, these are the core business tasks of an enterprise. Over the past decade, the vast majority of traditional global giants, such as legacy banks or manufacturing leaders, have talked about moving to the cloud. But their core assets actually remained sitting in their own physical server rooms. However, AI changed everything. To avoid being left behind by the times, these companies are being forced to launch an unprecedented large-scale migration, moving their core business lines entirely to the cloud. Ives points out that this migration will enter its most critical, tough stage in 2025. This is a very nuanced conclusion. When these core assets are exposed to the cloud, the original physical moats disappear, replaced by a transparent and highly vulnerable virtual surface. I find this point deeply thought-provoking. AI itself is an extremely sharp double-edged sword. Hackers today no longer fit the traditional image of manually typing code. They are using generative AI to automatically find code vulnerabilities, generate convincing phishing emails, and even produce large-scale deepfake identities. Ives emphasizes that, without cybersecurity, you cannot achieve AI. This is not just a slogan. It is a survival rule that all enterprises must face by 2026. By 2026, the application of AI will move from the laboratory into the core business of all industries. Let's try to extrapolate. If an autonomous driving network is hacked or an AI-driven medical diagnostic system is tampered with, the consequences would be catastrophic. Therefore, 2026 will be a critical turning point. Enterprises will shift from buying computing power for AI to buying insurance for AI security. Ives calls this year the industry's golden year, when cybersecurity will jump from a marginal cost item to the top priority of tech spending. So, in terms of investment logic, what level of opportunity is this exactly? In the investment world, we often talk about derivatives. If NVIDIA and Microsoft are the first-tier, direct beneficiaries of the AI revolution, then cybersecurity is the most important multi-level derivative. This logic is actually very easy to understand, but its explosion timeline has a clear lag. First, everyone needs to buy the chips and build the models. This phase occurred roughly between 2023 and 2024. Next, from 2024 to 2025, companies begin trying to feed data to the models and develop specific applications. Finally, when the applications start running officially, everyone will suddenly realize that their original firewalls are completely inadequate. Thus, the wave of large-scale procurement of AI security services will converge and explode in 2026. It's like building a skyscraper. NVIDIA sells the steel and cement, and Microsoft is the general contractor. Now that the building is finished and the owners are ready to move in, they realize the door locks aren't installed and the security cameras aren't in place. Cybersecurity companies are the super security guards who can set their own price right before the owners move. Ives predicts that during this phase, the cybersecurity sector will outperform all other tech subsectors. This is not just because of the surge in demand, but because this demand is highly anti-cyclical. You might skip updating your office software, but you would never dare to shut down your defense systems in an era of rampant hacking. Among these security guards, Dan Ives gives CrowdStrike the absolute center stage. He suggests that the valuation logic for this company is undergoing a fundamental, qualitative change. CrowdStrike's core advantage lies in its cloud-native DNA. Its core product, the Falcon platform, is essentially a super brain running in the cloud. Traditional security software is like installing burglar bars on every computer, whereas CrowdStrike is like installing a fully automated, AI-driven monitoring and interception system for the entire city. It has millions of sensors worldwide, collecting the latest threat data every second. This involves a key AI logic, the data flywheel effect. How your security model performs depends entirely on how many attacks you have seen. The more hacking methods CrowdStrike encounters, the smarter its AI model becomes. In turn, this attracts more customers, leading to more data. Ives believes that the moat built by this first-mover advantage gives CrowdStrike a dominance in the AI security field similar to NVIDIA's in the GPU field. Many investors still perceive CrowdStrike at a simple firewall or endpoint protection level, but Ives emphasizes that the AI technology within this company is currently the deepest and widest in the industry. They are not just using AI for defense, they are using AI to reconstruct the entire security process. For example, using AI to automatically identify abnormal behavior patterns and intercept hackers before they even have a chance to steal data. This predictive capability is incomparable to traditional software. Ives' bull case target price of $700 sounds startling, but the algorithm behind it is based on the opening of a $1 trillion market. He believes that with the arrival of the 2026 convergence point, CrowdStrike's revenue structure will evolve from a simple subscription model into a security tax. As long as you run AI, you have to pay the tax. This marks the official entry of cybersecurity companies into the first tier of global tech giants. Of course, CrowdStrike isn't the only one on stage. Ives also mentioned giants like Palo Alto Networks, PANW, Zscaler, and Check Point. The current security market is very interesting. It's like a highly fragmented underworld. A large company might hire 50 different vendors simultaneously, one for email, one for employee accounts, and another for cloud servers. But Ives predicts that 2026 will see a wave of massive mergers and acquisitions. Why? Because AI requires a global vision. If your security system is fragmented, AI cannot capture those extremely hidden threats through cross-platform data analysis. Therefore, the future trend is platformization, where large companies will aggressively acquire small security firms with unique algorithms, eventually forming 3 or 4 all-encompassing security carriers to dominate the market. Within this, Ives specifically mentioned a unique niche: identity verification. In the age of generative AI, we can perfectly mimic a person's voice, face, and even writing style. So, how does a company know if the person sitting across the screen requesting a wire transfer is actually their CFO? This is why players like Okta in the identity verification field have become vital. In 2026, identity verification will become the core of zero-trust architecture. If you can't prove you are who you say you are, the AI system will deny all access. This might be the track with the most growth potential in the coming years. Having talked about these security giants, let's turn our gaze back to the godfather of AI. What has NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang been up to lately? Ives spoke very highly of NVIDIA's recent licensing agreement with Groq, calling it a textbook preemptive strike. So why Groq? In the hardware world of AI, the battle is divided into 2 main fronts: training and inference. NVIDIA almost monopolizes the training market for developing large models, but in the inference market, where models are actually put to work, it faces fierce challenges from Google's TPU and various other specialized chips. The LPU, language processing unit, developed by Groq, is incredibly fast at processing large language models. By reaching a licensing agreement with Groq, NVIDIA is effectively filling its own gaps in specific inference scenarios. Jensen Huang is well aware of the threat from Google's TPU. Google not only has powerful chips, but also the most extensive AI application ecosystem. If Huang loses dominance on the inference side, NVIDIA's trillion-dollar empire could develop cracks. As a result, he didn't choose to fight to the death. Instead, he integrated the competitor's technical logic into his own ecosystem through a licensing agreement. This slows down the opponent's offensive pace while perfecting his own product line. Ives describes Jensen Huang as the godfather of AI, believing he will never sit idly by. This move essentially tells the market, whether it's hardware computing power or the software ecosystem, NVIDIA wants it all. This strategy is designed to address the computing power pain points that may arise in 2026 due to the explosion in inference demand. This is not just a technological contest, but a massive gamble over ecosystem pricing power. Huang is ensuring that no matter how AI applications change in the future, they must run under the rules defined by NVIDIA. Looking at this, we must look past these complex agreements and company names to consider a fundamental business question. Why has security become the last line of defense for AI? The answer is that any powerful ecosystem, without a solid moat, will be a castle in the air. As AI penetrates every capillary of society, security is no longer an option, but a baseline for survival. If, as Ives says, 2026 will be the year of full convergence between AI and cybersecurity, then we are entering a new stage where computing power is power and security is life. You might ask, can cybersecurity really support such high valuations? Is this just another tech bubble? To answer this, we need to step outside the technology itself. In past economic cycles, when companies cut budgets, cybersecurity was often the first to go. But things have changed. If a company's AI system is hacked, it's not just losing a bit of data, it's the collapse of the entire business logic. In today's highly digitized world, security is the business. Furthermore, there is the value of data assets. In the AI era, data is the asset. If you cannot protect your training data from contamination, the model you train will be toxic. If you cannot protect your proprietary models from being stolen, your competitive advantage will vanish overnight. This defensive demand is extremely rigid. Finally, there is the regulatory dividend. Globally, regulations regarding AI and data are becoming stricter than ever, from the EU's AI Act to various national privacy laws. This compliance requirement forces companies to significantly increase their investment in cybersecurity. On the eve of 2026, Ives Insights have essentially drawn a map to the future for us. On this map, NVIDIA is the towering mountain providing the initial power and vision, while companies like CrowdStrike are the rivers flowing through the land, seemingly invisible, yet nourishing and protecting every inch of the entire ecosystem. I've found that technological progress is never linear. It often undergoes a frantic infrastructure boom, then encounters a series of severe challenges from security, law, and ethics. Finally, in the process of solving these challenges, true long-term winners are born. In 2026, when artificial intelligence and cybersecurity truly converge, companies that only possess hollow AI concepts will be caught swimming naked, while those that can build truly secure, reliable, and closed-loop AI ecosystems will welcome their golden age. As I've said, this AI revolution is not just about how to become smart, but more about how to stay safe. If we believe that technology is the ladder of human progress, then please remember, the steadier the ladder, the higher we can climb. Thank you all for listening. I'll see you in the next episode. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe to stay tuned. I always appreciate your feedback, so drop a comment below. Thanks for listening, and catch you later.